I actually did want to bring on my first guest here. Happens to be a female herself, and actually is very involved in the Dota 2 scene. Of course, a caster for Moonduck Television, and a solid player herself, I'm pretty sure. So let me go ahead and give her a call here. Bring her on if she is ready to go. There we go.
Hey.
Hey, Annie, can you hear me? Oh, wait.
Yep.
There we
I can
go.
hear.
Wait a second. You probably hear echo, don't you?
I don't.
You don't? You're good. Okay.
I'm good.
We're good. Okay, cool. I like it. Anyways,
Hi.
welcome to the show, Annie. I'm happy to have you here.
Hi. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. So I don't know if you've been tuning in. I think you may have been tuning in a little bit
Yeah.
to the show here.
Definitely a lot of strong feelings on what's going on here, and I want to stress the importance of her being picked up on a co-ed team, and I think that's super important because there have been not necessarily gimmicky, but like heavily sponsored, heavily funded all-female teams that aren't competing in the same leagues or on the same tier as male teams. And I don't think that does anything for integration in the sport. I think it's so phenomenal that she chose to go and play with other guys on a guys team and compete with other guys teams. Like, she's an actual Dota player, which is exactly what she is.
Well, let's start from the beginning right here. So, you're yourself being a female player, and, Dota 2 is notoriously known for being a very hostile scene. It's a very unforgiving game in a lot of ways. Do you feel that even more in your case, or you feel like you're pretty much with everyone else when it comes to it as far as a player goes?
Well, my personal experience differs because, again, the Eastern and Western scenes are different, so I can't speak for Axe's experience, but my experience, yeah, definitely. I think there's, in Dota, there's a lot of name calling. There's a lot of, you get made fun of stuff. I slept with your mom, haha, like stupid stuff like that. But if you're a female, that's easily identifiable by your voice or by the fact that you're streaming and you are a known name. So someone can go after something that's true. Someone can say like, oh, you're just a bitch, or they can say very sexist things that, get to you in a different way than you're bad or I slept with your mom.
Yeah. So when you heard it, so it sounds like that you were overall pretty excited about the idea, not only that she's going with the team, but playing with the big boys or whatever you want to call it. Because you brought up an interesting point there. I want to touch on that real quickly too. Is that there are female-only leagues? Counter Strike Go, especially, I believe they have a couple of female-only leagues out there. There's some top teams in the female competitive scene. How do you feel about those? And do you feel like those should be a thing, or do you feel it's hurt? In the case of female gamers.
I honestly feel like it hurts it. I think if you play Dota, you should play Dota. I don't think you have to play Dota as a female. I don't think you have to market yourself as a female and compete with other females. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to hold your own with guys. And I think it's one of those, you can see it from the point of view of, like making a safe space and wanting to compete with people like you and people that you have things in common with. But I think it does a disservice to the community. I think it segregates you from the community and reinforces that there is something defining about being a woman. You don't belong in the regular community.
Yeah. So it's safe to say that, and I was kind of talking about as before you came on here, that traditional sports, obviously they have their difference. The physical aspect seems to come into play there. But when it comes to esports, that doesn't necessarily exist. I mean, do you feel like there's any reason why maybe females can't compete with the boys or the guys, the males, when it comes to esports, or is there really nothing that's there?
I mean, there's people that are going to go into like minute scientific differences and go into like reaction time and, muscle twitch time and stuff like that. But no, there's no reason why women can't compete with guys, why a woman can't have a higher MMR than a guy can. Like, I know plenty of high 5K, 6K women, and I know plenty of, 1K dudes. It's not a biological
Yes.
thing. So then I think, again, playing an all-female team segregates women that may otherwise have fantastic potential in the competitive scene to kind of, go play with your own kind.
Are you disappointed almost that there hasn't been more, or is this a case of like maybe this is the door opening and you look forward to perhaps more female players being introduced into the scene as a result of this?
I mean, I think Dota involves a really heavy time commitment. It involves really thick skin,
Yeah.
regardless of gender. So I think it just attracts fewer females. But again, there is no reason why a woman hasn't been in the pro scene so far. There's no rules forbidding it. There's no, as far as I know, no organizations directly forbidding it. I think it's about time, and I'm really glad Axe is stepping up because she's a phenomenal player. She's 7K. She knows what's up. She's not there to be a generic female, which I think is a great distinction. Like she's not, put on a panel as, hair and makeup and boobs and
Yeah.
giggling. Like she actually knows what she's doing and she belongs here.
Yeah, and I think it honestly, and again, this is part of the whole sexist idea kind of coming out to an extent, but it maybe surprised a lot of people too that she wasn't a support player. It's like, wait, she's an off-lane player. There's the idea that a female can at least be a support player. No, she was playing off-lane, and I believe that's her traditional role and stuff. So I found that interesting too when it came to seeing about this play. So did you know about Axe before this, as far as her as a player?
I had known there was like a 7K, very high skill Chinese female player. I just didn't know that she was interested in the competitive scene. I think it's great she is. I knew her as a streamer, but I had never watched any of her games or anything.
What about yourself? Is that something that you've ever aspired to be, a competitive player? I mean,
Oh, I'm not at that tier at all.
Not at
I mean,
that
I played
tier,
on
huh?
my college team with like a ragtag band of hooligans, but it was never anything that was going to happen.
Yeah. All right. Are you a competitive person in general, as far as like sports and stuff?
Definitely. Yeah, I used to be really into sports and stuff, so definitely get that competitive itch satisfied by Dota.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, did you watch the DAC at all? By the way, the qualifiers there.
I did watch the cast of Axe, and
Okay.
definitely some interesting moments there.
Okay. So, that's actually a good transition because there was a. Sticking to this topic, there was a cast that did take place by a caster over there that was kind of reinforcing this idea again of being a little bit sexist and having some comments that he was making during the broadcast that were like he was referring to basically her as girl all the time.
Yeah.
Rather than this player, the name of the player, the hero referring to it as girl. What is your take on that? Do you feel like that's hurting the cause? I think it's safe to say, but
I don't want to make this about crucifying Cyclops because I think he went. It was going to be a joke. Just no one was able to give him that like on air like stop. It's not great anymore. So I think that's mistake has been apologized for. But going back to the greater point, I think Lurka summed it up really, really well in a tweet that she said. She said, "quote call her by her tag or her hero like you do other players. Don't just call her the girl." Because that's true. Like no one wants to be segregated from their team just because of the way they are. She was playing fine. And then I was like, reading through the thread on Reddit about that, and there were people saying, even during the chat, if she died or if she misplayed, like they'd say, oh, it's because it's a girl, or like be nice, it's just a girl, she's trying her best. It's like, no, hold her to the same standards as any other player because she is any other player.
Yeah, and it's there's one thing about drawing that line of as a caster in that case too, I can understand because myself, if I happen to be casting Axe, I'd want to promote that idea that she is a female player, and I think that part of it's fine, of course. That yes, this is a female player, trying to break into the scene and represent the female competitive scene, but you got to find that line of addressing it over and over again, like you said, when she happens to die or whatever. Oh, and the female goes down, and the girl goes down, and because she's a girl, obviously that's not the case in the end, but it really is going to reinforce that horrible stereotype that does exist. So, and yeah, reading through that Reddit post, that was bad. I mean, there's just kind of shows that unfortunately. Long way to go for some people, but
I think, contradicting your point, I don't even think it's worth highlighting more than once. I think, yeah, you do your introduction, you give the backstory on each player, but when it comes down to it, all 10 players are playing Dota, and that's what casters are supposed to talk about. You're not supposed to go and, praise her over and over again for being a girl. That's just what she does.
Yeah. So, yeah, you really, promote it once or twice, make a point of it, and then move on as if she is just a typical player. Which,
yeah, I mean, you think of any other minority in Dota, you think of, black people, you think of Native American people. If there's a black person playing Dota, you're not going to keep calling them that. It's just who they are.
Like
they're here to play Dota.
Off,
they're here to do their job. And that's just what she was doing. And I think it's really unfair that now, because it is so new, it is so novel, she's being fit into this box of she is the female player.
Were you disappointed that they didn't qualify in the end, or do you still think it was a good step?
I think it was a great step. I mean, qualify or not, she came in there, she played at the same level as all her teammates. She did a great job. I think she did the community proud, and she's got a bright future ahead of her.
Do you know of any other female players that are out there that you could see breaking into the scene?
I know of a couple that are, high 5K, like trying to break into that 6K, but
Yeah.
I think especially in the Western scene and, NA, I don't think there's a real big place for that because there are just so many extremely high skilled male individuals that, I think play at a better level than the women I know.
All right.
And I think that's what it should come down to. It should come down to Dota's skill and teamwork and being able to get the job done, win the Dota game,
Yeah.
rather than we need to have a set amount of minorities. We need to have the token girl because, like, the token girl is easily replaceable. I like Axe because she's so good at what she does.
Yeah. Happens to be able to back it up as well with that ranking. And,
Hmm.
again, even though I got the chance to watch a fair amount of the match myself, so definitely making some solid plays. So,
Yeah, just
um,
just one more thing is that, I saw a lot of comments on the thread and a lot of tweets afterwards that said something along of like she did well despite being a female.
yeah.
Oh, that got under my skin so much
Yeah.
because being female is not a disability in Dota. Like,
Yeah.
despite being female, like I'd expect that like she did well despite being blind or despite having no fingers. Like, being female does
She
not
had
control your
boobs.
ability
How
at
did she
Dota
do
2.
this? Yeah.
It's that one really got to me.
Yeah, I know, and I can understand that completely. And the unfortunate thing about that too, it's like people that make comments like that. It's like I don't even think they realize what they're suggesting. It's like they mean
Yeah.
good intentions, right? But the way that they're saying it and they're coming across as you're clearly making a point of, it's maybe you should think a little bit more when
Yeah.
making such
There
comments
there were
and
a
how you
couple
word it.
tweets and Reddit posts like verbatim, she did well despite being female. And it's like that's so detrimental to the scene.
Yeah. Well, the what was I going to bring up? Oh yeah, so about the DAC, kind of just a different topic before we wrap up this here, but DC, I was kind of talking about Team DC not being one of the invited teams. EG getting that over them, I think you could safely argue. How do you feel about that? Do you think DC deserved it, or is it all
I think
EG?
DC have been performing phenomenally, but I think you kind of got to respect EG as that, when you think NA team, like my mind snaps to EG. I think that, Flag, I think Bleed Blue, so I think it does represent the NA region perhaps a little better than DC does, but I do think DC are deserving of an invite. And I was listening to the show earlier and your suggestion of, having fewer Chinese teams to allow for two NA
Yeah.
teams or two EU teams might be the way to go on that.
That seems a little ridiculous to me, but hey, it's
Yeah.
not my tournament. I'm not the one putting up the money, so they can do
Yeah.
as
I
they
mean,
please.
I don't have super strong feelings. I think DC are deserving of an invite, but I mean, EG didn't do anything wrong. Like, they're still
Exactly.
top dogs. They're still doing great.
Yeah, it's nothing against EG. I think that's a clear point to make. It's more against the tournament organization and who they
Mhm.
chose to invite. But EG, hey, they deserve it in the end. It's not like they didn't by any means. You enjoying 7.0, by the way? You enjoying the patch?
I really am. I think it's definitely got its ups and downs. I think it's made the game pretty fun, but I think I don't know. There's something that's getting a little bit stale about being able to get to 25 and complete your build almost every single game.
Yeah.
Like, some of the fun of Dota is that you don't always get to do that. So we'll see.
That's an
Maybe it'll be
interesting
toggled
take,
a little
yeah.
bit.
Well, you play Meepo, you get 25 in 20 minutes, it feels like. So
Yeah, I was playing Meepo. There was like a Meepo player on my team that had like 16 minutes, level 25, like 4 or 5 items. It's like,
So
that's not really
stupid.
that fun, though. That's just farm simulator.
So dumb. All right, Annie, I really do appreciate you joining me here and talking about some different stuff here, but especially about the axe situation. Any shout outs, anything else you want to say?
Just thanks so much, man, for having me on. Shout out to any, female Dota players out there. I think it's important that you don't, you play Dota. You make that the forefront of what you do, and don't try to identify yourself as only a female because everyone can be more than that.
Yeah. Very well said. Very well said, AnneeDroid. Really do appreciate it. And say hey to Mott from the stream here.
Hi, Mott.
The back. He looks very invested. He's probably playing World of Warcraft, let's be honest.
Yeah,
like
you're
he does a lot of
100%
that.
spot on.
Seems like he does a lot of that. All right, thanks again, AnneeDroid. Really do appreciate it.
Bye.
All right, so that's AnneeDroid joining us. Showing off the Skype. Oh my God. Yeah, that was good though. That was awesome. That was very well said on her part, and I'm glad. It's good to get a female perspective on, obviously, in a case like that. Because I know this isn't a topic that a lot of people are maybe comfortable even talking about for whatever reason, but and it's not the most popular topic to talk about, but I think it's very important. I really do think it is, and it's so easy for some people to sit here and say it's like, oh, that's just him trying to be a white knight, or trying to get the females on his side and stuff. It's like, no, this is just being a decent human being. That's really what it comes down to in the end, and